Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2. I have the pleasure of introducing one of the first hybrid players in StarCraft 2, but spawning as his native Zerg. It is the Italian stallion. It's Reynor. And opposite him, his European counterpart. In the blue, it's the captain, Harstem. These two know each other well. They know their strategies, know their tactics, and know that Reynor has beat Harstem more than any other player in the game. And apparently Harstem has taken offense to that. He'll take offense over to Reynor here, so I don't even have time, before Harstem's cannon rush begins, to beg you to like and subscribe. Not even, Jimmy, what are we? 1,227 likes. And you can save a probe today. No, probably not. But, and I'll cast another series. But hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully this is about to make it just a little bit better. Alright, so cannon on the bottom of the ramp. A 3-pylon wall off. A classic tactic. Well, classic doesn't cannon rush very often, but in general, gonna use pylons in order to box in the cannon itself. The probe is being hunted. It looks like Reynor confident as long as he can keep anything from happening on the top of the ramp. A second probe is being sent across. Rarely our probe, well, of all the units, probe's definitely the most dangerous, but tries to catch it, but it's not going to be enough. Can slap down a gate to potentially block just another cannon. He gets one of the probes, but now a bunch of the drones are kind of locked. Are they locked in? Not particularly. Whoa, 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 what do you do? No, the probe is kind of an important part of all this. The Zerglings are about to come out. Will he actually fight with the Zerglings? Indeed he will. He's going for the pylon. These are all cannons here, targeting the Zerglings. Two more cannons will finish. But I think Harstem realizes, well, here comes the Zealot. But it's a little too late. It still did a lot of damage, but oh my god, pins him up against his own cannon. Zerglings are popping out. Was it worth it? Harstem losing both probes that early on. Reynor taking it so seriously, pulling so many drones, and convinced that he could stop it before it really started. And now, well, is there a wall? The Zerglings, a bit late. And the Zealot is not going to be manning the wall at all. Zerglings are inside the house, and I don't think Reynor is going to let those probes go. This is going to be incredibly annoying to deal with. Adept. Okay, well, abandons its post. The Zealot just going to chase it down. No cannon back at home. And looking for the Zealots around, not quite getting it. Adept is on the way. Reynor wants to do as much damage as possible before it comes out. Gets 2 probes and counting. Gets a 3rd. And this is damage that Harstem can't really afford at this stage. Obviously, no damage is great, but he has 2 Nexi, but the probe count is tenuous at best. Yeah, that second Nexus, unfortunately, not really able to do anything else right now, as he has to deal with these Zerglings inside his base. The cannon rush, not quite perfect execution. Reynor just slaps it down. Slaps the cannon right out of his probe's mouth, and then comes across the map and leaves with no further comment. Now, there isn't Zergling speed. The Adepts can chase. Overlord comes in and sees probably the least surprising thing, which is going to be a Stargate. The cannon will be dealt with. We've been depowered for quite a while here. Adepts. 2 Adepts, definitely a danger to these non-speed Zerglings. Will he actually complete? No. More Zerglings on the way. Harstem struggling to get that probe count up. As if the cannons had stayed up just a little longer, able to target down a few more drones. But instead, he finds himself on the back foot, going to be forced to try to claw his way back into this. And Reynor has all the initiative here. Yes, the Adepts are going to continue poking and prodding. There are going to be Oracles. But Reynor is about to finish his third hatchery. Later than usual, but in the grand scheme of things, still at a solid timing. Relative to the situation Harstem is in, definitely not late at all. Now the third Nexus. Oracle boxed out. There is no Spore, but 3 Angry Queens are more than enough to discourage a single Oracle. Another gate at the back. Third Nexus on the way. Reynor took offense to that. I don't know if it has been spotted. The Oracle back at home to protect it. Going to be an important part of this. Just goes for the Nexus itself. Doesn't want to suffer the losses. Takes a look. Of course, there's a Zealot there. Diligent about the defense. No lair yet for Reynor. Instead, going to be opting, looks like +1 melee. Indeed. For the Zerglings. Eventually Banelings. Especially for high APM players like Reynor. Definitely the favored choice over Roaches early, if you can get away with it. Making use of that Forge. Starts +1 attack, does Harstem. Twilight and Forge. Twilight and Robo behind, rather. Oracle's come and get 3 drones. And an Oracle back at home helping burn through a lot of Zerglings. So it's like Reynor kind of losing track. He gets 2 Adepts, but loses 16 Lings. Not quite sure that was worth it. Though behind it, 62 drones, a lair, and a 4th hatchery in production. So, overall, it's going to be on Harstem to come up with a way to slow down Reynor before he gets essentially too big to fail here. Has 5 more gases. Wow. Looks like mutas. Well, possibly a Hydralisk Den, but against this relatively low economy and later tech Harstem, mutas definitely could be a strong choice. You don't build Phoenixes unless you scout the Spire. Okay? They're just too expensive. You don't get much utility out of them. It slows down the rest of your tech. What else could he be doing with all this gas? Hydralisk Den, Overlord speed. Reynor could just rush lurkers as well. Unfortunate. I always love seeing mutas. Rare nowadays, but they're just so easy to counter if you have any hint of them coming. Hydraling Bane. Reynor with plenty of money in the bank here. Probably waiting for the Hydra Den to complete. Make a huge group of them. Baneling drops, also an option. Oracle's gonna find some more success. Queens, Revelated. Don't think that's the word, but sounds pretty cool though, in my opinion. Immortals in production. +1 ground weapons is completed for Harstem. Building up defenses at home. Storm on the way. Also a key point of all this. Without Storm, there's almost no hope of dealing with the sheer amount of Hydralisks, Zerglings, and Banelings that Reynor's coming out with. 81 drones now for Reynor, +2 melee. On the way, Baneling speed, very important, going to be done momentarily. The Queens, oh, they're working off my creep! Templar being warped in. No infestation pit. That looks like a Baneling drop. Being loaded up. Muscular augments, Hydra speed. Reynor, there's no real reason for him to sit back. There's no more tech to wait for besides maybe +2 melee. But he has the supply, he has the basis. It's time to move out. Oracle taken down. Force field locks in the Zerglings conveniently. Harstem's army looking quite minimal compared to what we see of Reynor's, but still able to whittle down some of the Zerglings. And if he does have Size Storm, well, it's not necessarily about your army size, but how you use it. Baneling drop is loaded up. Hydra's working their way through. I'm going to keep going back to the lack of hive. If Harstem is able to survive and keep his 4th base without losing a critical mass of probes, he has a significant chance of being able to counterattack to great effect. Here we go. Stasis. Baneling drop is coming in. Reynor is hitting at exactly the right time. He's distracting on the right while hitting on the left. The Baneling drop, though, without +2 melee, and even with it nowadays. Only 7 probes. The Storms, a dangerous force field so far. Shield battery overcharged. The shield battery is taken down. Not too many more Storms on the back line, though. A bit of an awkward fight. The +2 melee is now done. He didn't really thin out the Hydra count. And that's the problem. Yeah. He needed the Hydras. Getting the Banelings is good, but there just wasn't enough backline to deal with it. Reynor rips through in game 1. A solid defense against the half-hearted cannons. And Mac rose up and just crushes him under the weight of the swarm. Harstem needs to find his footing to keep it together in this series. Reynor seems to have his number. Maybe literally, but also figuratively. Who calls people nowadays? Let's be honest here. Game 2 is going to be on Hecate. No probe headed out early. No forge in production. Jimmy, if we could see the game, that would be even better. Thank you. Hatch first. 1 gate expand. We're going to see what Harstem has in store for us without any sort of early shenanigans. Thing is, he had the setup for the cannon rush, but then he just lost the probes. You can't lose the probes. Alright, the probes and the pylons, the powerhouse, the Protoss. It is known. So, losing those probes really setting him back for the rest of the game, essentially. I expect Stargate. Harstem, a solid 3-base Stargate. Plenty of Immortals, plenty of Archons. That was our cheese for the series. It's been so long since I've seen someone do a straight-up 3-pylon block. I think Reynor demonstrating pretty well why it's relatively rare. There's a lot of weak points to it. When it works on the ladder against those barcodes, yes, it is cause for... Let's understate it and say intense frustration. But obviously Reynor, not his first rodeo. Stargate on the way. Adept, shading across. Gonna have a meet and greet with the edge of the creep. The Queen politely yet firmly asks the Adept to leave. Adept, as usual, throwing shade. Stalker behind, actually. Going to use that to take out the Overlord. There's no pervert pillar here, so doesn't even need the Oracle for high ground vision. I don't know if the Overlord microing away slightly. Actually runs out the other side. It's going to be close. Overlord moving as fast as it can. And intense. Overlord, a narrow escape, but an escape nonetheless. Will Harstem make a Phoenix out of spite? Because right now it looks like he's headed towards Glaive to Depths. 3 more gates on the way. Does not take the gases 2 and 3. Yet building those gateways before getting a 3rd base already kind of defines the situation. Yeah, he's trying to make it look good right now. Bringing the Adepts down, but almost certainly going to be getting, yep, there's the Glaives. Even 2 probes. Really trying to sell it here. Not sure if that's more or less suspicious, but the Adepts will be taking down the probe as well. Will Reynor really fall for this? That's the another probe being sent down. Reynor in position to deal with it. Does he have a Roach Warren? He doesn't. So far, he's biting. Harstem, Reynor just saying, oh, Harstem really screwing up his 3rd base timing. That does feel like what we're doing here. As Harstem feigning like he wants a 3rd. And of course he does want it. But more importantly, getting a bunch of Adepts behind the lines. And only now getting those minerals. Yeah, the Zerglings. Is he going to give away the Adepts? Still no vision. The Roach Warren is on the way. Reynor making a few more lings, but not nearly so many that indicates he knows this is coming. He will momentarily. Yep, here come the Shades. The Roach Warren is not yet done. And that means this will do some damage. The question is how much. Alright, Harstem shading in. Bunch of queens here. The drone's quite vulnerable. Honestly, it might just cancel. He does at the last moment. And so far, yeah, gonna kill some of the drones. Reynor doesn't have that many drones to burn here. In fact, he's at 43 over 46. The Shades, he blocks out with evolution chambers, which does kill some of his drones, just in a more productive manner. Each of those Evo chambers cost a drone as well, and Harstem gonna get in anyways. There's no way he needs these 3 Evos, nor can afford them. The Shades, and another set of Shades ending up towards the 3rd. Might be able to target down half a dozen more drones or so. The Adepts in the main. Robo's on the way. The only thing Harstem needs to worry about now is the counterattack. He's killed so many drones. Reynor plummets to a 6-drone lead. Okay, we're building plenty of drones behind it. A lair is on the way. Oh, that is? Yeah. Always very awkward with these Adept. Not really all-ins, but timings. Because they almost always do damage. The question is how much. And overall, 14 Adepts for 12 drones and 15 lings. And he's bought a lot of time. He's gotten his 3rd base up. He's building Immortals. Well, gonna get a couple more here. I'd call it a lukewarm result. I don't think we can put a number score on it, but I think a temperature. So, lukewarm. Definitely didn't... well, the best case scenario is obviously outright winning the game. Worst case is all your Adepts die to Roaches right off the bat. That killed a decent amount of drones, kept the Roaches tied up, delayed the tech, forced him to continue running around, and kept track of the unit composition Reynor was building. But did not do critical economic damage, didn't really slow down his progression, and still is at a threat of counterattack. So, Harstem does have plenty at home. Oracles finding some damage, but now pinned back by the very upset queens here. Gonna recall out, which is even more upsetting. Yeah, queen sent back. More injects. Now we got a Spire on the way. Might have a chance at those Mutas. +1 ranged attack in melee. Gonna make use of those extra Evos he ended up building. Play it off here. And now a Phoenix headed across. Hallucinated. Phoenix. Where is the Spire? It is in the main base. Unlikely to be scouted right off the bat here. Reynor does have 81. Force fields look like they trapped in some of the Zerglings, but ended up getting, well, slowing down his army slightly as well. Colossi on the way. Mutalist Den. Nearly completed. Reynor will have enough for about 10 mutas. He continues down this road, but unfortunately he's forced to build some Ravagers right off the bat here. And now, this is certainly not an ideal situation for Reynor, dealing with this army right as he wants to go mutas. There's Colossi in production. Harstem, a tenuous force here. He has +1 attack, he has a Colossus, he has several relatively high energy sentries. But, oh, and he does have a Stalker in the wall. Very important. This will drag a lot of the units back. Stalker's not doing that much damage. The Colossus much more dangerous. Pops out at a fortuitous timing. Reynor has 84 drones. The Oracles come in. Gonna see all that gas. Wonder if any alarm bells are ringing here. For Harstem, who should be realizing momentarily. Well, one way or another, he's about to figure out the mutas. But I think it's going to be the worst case scenario, which is them showing up to your base. Templar Archives. Now, Harstem has enough army supply that he could potentially just force a base trade. and leave us in this awkward situation where we figure out who can actually defend. As the Mutaling is headed towards the natural. Meanwhile, Harstem, he spots the Mutas. One flinging out. The Immortals stuck behind the Stalker. Definitely going to help out here. The Mutas, Harstem just going forward. Trying to grind his way through the Lings and Banes. Force field wall! Corrosive Biles were already used. Now the Queens are abandoned. A lot of probes going down to the Mutalisks. But Harstem still making some progress. Will kill at least one base. Adept shading in towards the third. Nexus going to be taken out. Hatchery certainly going to go down. And one base apiece so far. Harstem's definitely more valuable. There's nothing in the main. More probes being slaughtered by the Mutalisks. Some drones being caught as well. Oh no, the Sentry! And the Immortal getting caught at the last second. Sentry retreats. Immortal holds on for now. But the Mutas, Harstem's running out of mining locations. Takes out the shield battery, targeting the probes. Harstem rotating back around, but if he doesn't... He's scrambling to defend, but does he have anything left to really defend meaningfully? Reynor still has 73 drones. He still has 4 bases. The Mutas still wholly intact here. He's actually only lost 3 of them. The Phoenix is going to try to up that number, but there's not enough Phoenixes yet to really make a big difference. You can't recall Mutas, much to Raider's dismay, as he fights into the corner, trying to hide his numbers and make it that much harder to target fire. Wow, there's something off about this. My god. Alright. Well, the Mutas might find some space here. Beautiful force fields. Very temporary, but help Harstem hold the line with those Colossi. It's starting to crumble, though. The Mutas coming in from the back. Corrosive Bow does land. Takes out some of the Stalkers. Oracle's unchallenged as the Mutas are on the wrong side of the story. Gonna try to target down the Colossi here. Will eventually get them. Oracle's helping out a lot. Phoenixes will take out the Mutas. But at the end of the day, is it enough? Harstem gonna lose even more probes here. The Oracle's with free reign, but runs out of energy. Blinks forward in Reynor. He takes 2 in a row. Another hard-fought battle for the captain. But at the end of the day, it's just not enough. Reynor overruns him. The Mutas being completely unscouted, forcing Harstem. You don't want to be the one who reacts to a base trade, all right? That implies your base is already being traded, and now you're scrambling to get one in turn. Obviously not an ideal scenario, and not working out great for Harstem thus far. Reynor again getting the better of him, but there's a reason we play longer series. Harstem still has a chance as we go into game number 3. Gimme. As we go into game number 3. Thank you. Alright, hard lead. And a hard lead to surmount for Reynor here. It just didn't come together in time. I am surprised Harstem didn't smell the Mutas. And by that I mean notice the severe lack of anything else out of Reynor. Well, it is always very hard to judge exactly how much damage you did with the Adepts, because they're scattered around the bases. A lot of the time, Zerg players will focus on just building an army to counterattack. Reynor instead focused on drones. So, Harstem may not have judged the economy that Reynor was at until it was far too late. And even then, it's a big risk to actually send units out when you're still building up that tech. Like, if you don't have Blink done, for example, those Stalkers can just get surrounded and killed. Unless you want to do one of those really sad recalls. You try to recall 12 Stalkers as they're getting surrounded, and 3 of them make it home with half HP. I'm only calling out essentially every Protoss ever. Adept gets a drone, shades away. Twilight first, by the way, for Harstem. He's abandoned the Stargate and headed for the Twilight. The Oracle will glide by and see it. But Twilight doesn't really tell... Well, he's only mining with 1 in gas. So that is almost certainly charge lots. Now, did Reynor notice that? Is the question. As, that is just enough gas to be able to get maybe charge. Possibly Adepts? Okay, it is Adept Waves. Just really trying to maximize those minerals and get enough production. Probably not even a Prism, though the options are still open. This is just skip the Stargate, skip everything but the Stalker, straight to Glaives. Okay? But this time around, Reynor, he's going to have a Roach Warren done. The timing and the strength of the Glaives are going to be the relevant part. Harstem looking to lay down his third base, and the Adepts are barely tucked in behind the pylon and next to the minerals, just in time. Oh, that's a lot more Adepts coming down, but the Nexus will be canceled at the last moment there. All right, there's still plenty of time, but... More Adepts warped in. The numbers escalating. Harstem has restarted probes. A simple build, an old build, a neat build, but it checks out. No matter how many roaches you have, it's very easy to be in the wrong spot. That's so many Adepts. Counterattack. The Zerglings shouldn't be able to cancel. The roaches hiding on the high ground will actually just assassinate the queens. Many of the drones are at this third. The wall is held. Adepts warped in behind it. He just shades straight across with so many Adepts. The roaches, he might be able to just kill the hatch. Reynor only had 40 drones here. This is a much quicker attack. More drones popping out, but there's so many up on the high ground. I don't know, Harstem. A bit of an odd shade through, but he gets through. And into the main. Reynor scrambling to deal with it. He's already down. 40 versus 47 workers. There's shades everywhere right now. Another one. He recalled out of the main. Gonna get way more kills at the third here. 11 more. The Adept, not quite focused. And Reynor building 10 more drones, but there's 13 Adepts versus 12 Roaches. The Roaches are not going to have speed, no upgrades. Maybe he's able to get a couple Ravagers. But honestly, that's not enough Roaches to really threaten Harstem. Without speed, the Adepts themselves might be numerous enough in order to fight them, which is a very odd scenario when it comes down to that, but there's a lot of odd math going on right now. He may just chase down the Roaches. He's at least forcing more and more out. The Robo is finished. Immortals should be produced immediately, as Immortals are the much more direct counter. Gets a Robo Bay. I guess Disruptors are also a great choice against potentially Roaches and Ravagers. Fighting some of the Roaches. He decides to cancel. Oh, completes a shade with just a few. Some real fancy shade work here. Killing even more drones. Reynor back under 50. This is real damage. Keeping a Zerg under 50 drones does limit their long-term options. When you kill 20 drones and they're at 70, they bounce back immediately. Killing 10 drones at 50, on the other hand, is a struggle. Especially because Reynor only has one queen. He has no larva. Rebuilding the drones is coming at the cost of not having more army supply. And, well, Harstem's going to have a shield battery. He's shading in with more Adepts. Reynor built a Spore Crawler, maybe anticipating some DTs. These Adepts finding a few more drones. They were a little off-center there. But so far, the captain charting a much stronger course with the shades here. Reynor scrambling, but now 69 probes for Harstem. A nice enough number to continue that Robo Bay production. And Overlord is just hanging out. Sees more production in the main. A second Robo as well as Colossi for Harstem. So the Robo Bay coming online. Gonna bring everything together here. And the Roach Ravager. Reynor gonna try to play it out. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of options. He wasn't able to attack, so now he just has to defend and hope Harstem makes a mistake. And make no mistake yourself. This is Harstem in the lead. He has the economy, he has the tech, and he has the map control. He's got perfect scouting, he knows the damage he did, and where Reynor's army is located. He's also going to have the upgrades. So it comes down to how Harstem wants to handle it from here. Road speed done. Burrow. Maybe burrow move as an option. Otherwise, not sure what he's looking for with the burrow there. Indeed. Quite a gamble, but it is a time for gambling. He needs something to sneak back some damage. Here comes Harstem, marching across the map. Blink is done, +1. The Colossus gonna help thin out any Zerglings. Multiple Colossi, and the Immortals for everything else. Here come the Ravagers. Force fields are good, he'll break them down. Oh, beautiful save on the Colossus with the Prism. Could set up another wave of force fields, doesn't do so. Does it at the front here, but the Immortals are getting a bit caught. Juggles back. So far, the War Prism has helped this be a fighting retreat instead of a total rout. And now more Adepts in towards the natural. Gonna kill more drones. Reynor almost getting this around, but Harstem able to extricate himself just barely and keep his unit composition together. Reynor has built the army that exploits mistakes immediately. Ravager, Roach, Zergling. On paper, not an incredible army, but if you move even 2 steps out of position, it will surround and crush you. Tunneling Claws on the way for the Roaches. Harstem has been unable to really capitalize on the situation, but he's nearly maxed out. Reynor is opting for Vipers. Oh my. Oh no, he's not gonna see it. He's building some cannons. I think he just noticed some of the Roaches have burrow move, but he sees it. Oh, he saw it. It doesn't matter, the Roaches are popping up. Now he has to deal with this. A massive gamble from Reynor is going to pay off as he gets the Roaches, and Harstem just has to come back. Now the Roach Ravager on the field, gonna try to fight the Colossi. Force field thrown out there. There's a shield battery, some cannons. The main base, 11 probes down. The third, also losing probes at point blank range. The shield battery's helping a bit. 13 probes. And, well, Roach is really living up to their names this time as they scamper around the base. Impossible to stamp out easily. God, it's so annoying. But Harstem maintains 190 supply. He's not losing much besides time. But time is money. For both players, if they get more income. Wasn't sure I was going to turn that one around, but... More Roaches will burrow out. Still 1 or 2 survive the purge. But now there are 10 lurkers on the way. Does he have any? He has lurker range. No adaptive talons yet. What is that? Is that? Oh, burrowed Roaches. Harstem. He's maxed out. 69 workers. Still a solid economy. But now the Vipers. Are there any Templar? No. Those Vipers, the only way to really deal with them is going to be the Stalkers. Blinding Cloud. Oh, he actually missed, but he gets 2 Immortals. Looks like one will make it back behind the lines and then be sliced up anyways. He did end up getting 1 Stalker awkwardly. A Ling? Did he just run in? I believe so. Storm is on the way. The Warp Prism, Charge Lots, Stalkers. He actually outmaneuvers, picks off 1 of the Vipers on the way by. And we're going into something of a base trade yet again. Well, Harstem actually held his base strongly. And now it's Reynor who has to hold on to his. The Warp Prism did go down, but there's plenty of charge lots resulting from it. And now Reynor's locked out of his own main. Are there any lurkers? No! All the tech is vulnerable. Yanks in a Colossus. 22 drones down. The natural's dead. Corrosive bio may land. Hitting, ooh. Oh, the lurkers are doing terrible, terrible damage, but the reinforcements are on the way. The lurkers trying to chase the main. The observer. The only thing keeping Harstem going here, but Reynor, well, he doesn't deal with the stalkers in the main base. The lurkers starting to slow things down at the front. There is no counter damage right now, though. Harstem is given more and more time to deal with this, as Reynor keeps scrambling back. A recall of a handful of stalkers out of the main. 32 drones down. And now bashing forward with the Immortals yet again. Reynor desperate to use those Vipers. The only thing really keeping him going here, but so many drones have been slaughtered. 75 killed this game. The Burrow Move Roaches bought a lot of time. The Lurkers helped with some more, but now Harstem has the anti-lurker death ball, and Reynor doesn't really have the economy to transition into anything else. He needs to try to get the damage done now, or it's going to be never. The Immortal count, 7 of them, 2 Archons, 4 Templar charging energy. Blink Stalkers, picking off a Ravager or 2. And is there detection? There hasn't been a Stargate this game, so he doesn't have Oracles. The charge lots are heading by. Harstem looking to pin down the Lurkers. Is there muscular augments? Those Hydras looking mighty slow. The Hydras actually don't have any upgrades. There's adaptive talent for the Lurkers, at least. At burrow speed. More Immortals coming across, but Harstem heading for the heart of the swarm. As there's nothing to really challenge. He fights directly. Feedbacks on the Vipers. 1 Immortal, taking the wrong path, but plenty of damage being dealt as Harstem. All he has to do is lock it down and knock him out. Reynor just simply doesn't have the army supply anymore. And Harstem quite confident in dealing with these lurkers here. He's been able to bring the game to this more stable state, at least for himself. And now Reynor just unable to find a way out of it. Be very careful about blinking towards lurkers, though. That's a dangerous game. Reynor refuses to die. Harstem still at 177 supply. He's got 5 bases now. A counterattack was attempted. The charge lots with +3 slice through some more Ravagers. Reynor's lost 5,000 more minerals here. Those lurkers. A dozen of them. Building more. He's really hoping he can catch Harstem. And Harstem now starts a Stargate and +1 air weapons. Just in case this continues for too long. Gets another Immortal. It takes a surprising amount of lurker damage, but a secondary army set up. That multi-pronged Protoss. Just needs a couple Archons with that side army. Stalkers denying bases. Observer spotting, but Reynor is still in it. He's still got those Vipers. And that means he's still dangerous. The lurkers. Ooh, jamming themselves in here. Blinding Cloud on the ramp. It's like Harstem going to give up this base. Zerglings into the main. Harstem may give up the center base in order to crush everything else. The lurkers heading back, but they will be intercepted and cut down before they can burrow. Harstem might just go for the elimination here. How many drones are out of the map? Reynor. Oh, he knows when he's beat. This time around, it's more than enough. And Harstem holds the line. He's still a bit of a dicey experience, but he's able to finally pin Reynor down and knock him out. The Adept Glaives, straight to the Glaives. Yeah, a bit of a slimy build, I will say. But Glaved Adepts just as dangerous as ever. I think some of the reason they dropped off is not because they're not very good, it's just the more often they're used, the more prepared Zergs are to counter them. But that doesn't mean they can't still do the damage. Alright, going into game 4. Harstem strikes back. Finds his footing a bit. And now, Malkion. Definitely a more macro-oriented map as well. I think Harstem actually more confident in the longer game, which is kind of a role reversal for Zergs and Protoss lately. As Protoss are getting more and more confident, including Reynor as Protoss, by the way, possibly learning from Harstem, but with those multi-pronged ground-based armies. Historically, 20 lurkers has been a GG moment for anyone without carriers. But the changes to the Immortal and the Baneling, I think, as well as nerfs to Broodlords, Banelings, Infestors, have all combined with, oh my god, buffs to the Immortal, I think have combined to give a bit more stability, at least making it a very playable situation for the Protoss. The Lurker no longer gets an extra speed bonus from adaptive talents. The Banelings with +2 melee specifically do not one-shot probes. And the Infestor Fungal has less range and does less damage. Broodlords move quicker, but their Broodlings have significantly less HP. And the Immortal, its barrier now triggers before the first attack. So before, a Zergling would tap it on the shoulder, or a Disruptor would smash it in the face, or an EMP would land, and then be like, the enemy closes, and puts up its barrier. But now, the barrier will block the initial attack, as well as up to 100 damage, including that initial attack, which we actually saw against the Lurkers. That means they're usually a bit better against Lurkers as well, because they're able to block that initial damage and potentially keep their shields up longer. It just makes it feel more intuitive, in my experience, against things like Lurkers specifically. And also, now we can talk about this game, because Reynor has expanded to the backside of the gold. I mean, you still have plenty of minerals to mine. I don't think I've ever seen this particular method, but I kind of love it. Definitely awkward here. He's only going to have access to a few mineral patches efficiently, but I mean, it's a gold base, so here goes Reynor. This seems like a dark build, to be honest. The backside of the gold. Technically, I mean, minerals are minerals, as they say, so it could work out. And so far, Harstem doesn't have anything to really punish him. He doesn't have a Twilight. He's gone back to the Stargate. Has the Oracles. He's just... Well, Reynor hasn't even bothered with his Natural yet. The Oracle's going to be driven out. Roach 1 now on the way. Twilight Council. Forge is completed, but no upgrades yet. Reynor only 52 drones, and now he's building at least half a dozen roaches. Adding a few more drones. Unclear how much aggression he wants to put out here. The Queens, now this is a bit of a cramped situation. Oracle coming in. Definitely an awkward angle for everyone involved. Oracle come in the back, burn through a few more drones. God, such an awkward base to take. He took down the little rocks in the middle there. You can still see them. Oh, Brenda! How did I know this was gonna happen when we took the gold? Shut up, Karen. This is like half of games nowadays. All right? Layer on the way. Foracles, and even Moracles in production. 3 queens, ready to move forward. Harstem looking to counter this something of a queen all-in with mass Oracle, which very well could work, as there just aren't enough queens right now. 8 queens in total, but they're spread throughout the various bases. I guess Reynor does have a lot of creep to work with, so still going okay for him. Lair is almost done. Oracles looking for their opportunity. Yep. Baneling Nest. Templar Archives. Both sides building up to that more advanced ground army that we've seen, well, throughout most of the games. The Oracles. Ah! Get off my creep! Gets one. Revelation in return, but that's more like a death rattle there. Storm should be starting momentarily. Is there no blink? So just kind of skipping the Stalker stage of things. Yes, we're going to stare at this until we get Storm. Looks like Archons are the choice, actually. That Stasis barely taken out in time. A whole lot of Ravagers and even more Zerglings on the field. +1 melee is done. Corrosive Bile. The creep is getting uncomfortably close to Harstem's backyard. All right? And right now, at some point you have to say, not in my backyard. Okay, we don't like the creep here. It's not that we don't like the Zerg. It's just we are the firstborn, so we're kind of a big... Overlord speed is done. 34 Banelings on the way. Storm, halfway there. Going to be very important when the Banelings come rolling. And indeed, Bane speed is done. Zealot counter. Once again, Harstem. Oh my god. Something crazy happening with those charge knots. There's an awkward angled base creating a lot of strife. But Moracle's going to be taken down. The Queens. Able to shut them out. The Queens have kind of run rampant over the map here. As Harstem been unable to drive the creep back. Reynor using that base as a springboard. Storm in 1 second, which is just barely in time to deal with this full-on 200 supply attack. That's still so many Lings and Banes. Here come the Queens. Stasis wards. Gonna be pre-triggered. Didn't actually get them there. The Stasises create quite a force field, allowing Harstem to focus his forces towards the south. There's still so much Zerg down there. More Templar moving in. Through that tiny choke point, the Storms are whittling down the Banelings, and Harstem so far holding the line. But more Banelings are rolling in. Shield Battery Overcharge helping out so much. Gets a merge off on the Archons. Stasis finally runs out. But Harstem, Battery Overcharge still going. More Archons taken down, but Harstem has held. The Stasis is helping out so much. And meanwhile, a counterattack. Zealots into the main. Harstem defends and counters immediately. A beautiful defense. As, well, he doesn't actually end up taking out that much more. In fact, losing much more gas overall. But I think weathering that attack without really losing a base or a significant amount of your more expensive units, I think that's a win overall. And now he's building up towards that Immortal Archon Templar composition that found so much success in the last game. And this time around, there's no lurkers. Harstem is already preemptively researching, or did he already finish +1 air? No. I just imagined that. I hallucinated it. But he does have a fleet beacon and a Stargate on the way. The Queens. There's the +1 air. I'm sorry, I was seeing the future again. Sorry, I blacked out for a second. Unfortunately, the Queen's kind of tripping over each other. There's 22 Banelings with 20 more in production. A Stasis. The Archons charging directly into them. Hit me! And Reynor does not have a hive, correct? No hive. No infestation pit. Looking to end the game on Lair Tech here and now, but Harstem's carriers are about to arrive. The charge launch slicing it up. Killing more and more drones. Reynor down to 69, which is not very nice for this stage of the game. You really want this, like more like 80, 85. What Harstem's worker count is what you want. but it's getting harder and harder to see this army doing damage. If he couldn't do it with a 30 army supply lead, it's kind of a prayer to do it now. Oh my god, 70 banelings. 66. Alright. Execute order 66 banelings. That stasis gonna be triggered. It diffuses it. The storms are amazing though. Hitting all the banelings. The Archon's holding the line. The carrier's helping out. Shield battery overcharge. Ugu, says Reynor. As Harstem ties up the game with a beautiful defense. Another solid hold from the captain. And just like that, we're going to game number 5. Reynor unable to break it. All right, is it time to go back to the camp? Harstem, when he's able to just set up his build and his base, seems, well, he's got the better end of things. Reynor definitely struggling in the later game. Whereas Harstem clearly a lot more comfortable with that more advanced army composition. So game 5 on Solaris should be interesting to see if we make it that far. Probe loading with the minerals as it do. This multi-layered defense of the stasis wards, the Archons themselves, the storm. God, it looks so good when it works. It is still a very tenuous thing. That first stasis that caught such a chunk of the army, and in such a way that created a funnel for the rest of them, made a huge difference in holding the line with a 30 army supply deficit. And then Reynor Reynor was very committed. No hive, no lurkers, just Ravager Lingbane. And 66 banelings can solve a lot of problems. But apparently not that one. And Harstem pulls out the Twilight Council yet again. In game 5. Looks like he's headed towards the Glaive Depths. Does he have all his gas? If it ain't broke. Overlord, pretty far out. I'm going to be looking for the gases at the natural, but it's not much of a giveaway until the lack of Oracle. Really the only way you can notice this early is if you send the OV in and potentially sacrifice it, where there's already a Stalker, or if you notice there is no Oracle in time. But if I'm Reynor, I think I hedge my bets, and I get a Roach Warren. Well, ideally by about the 4-minute mark, so that way there's a chance to have Roaches out in time. We will see. Wave to depths. Chrono boosted. Now would be the moment. Feigning a third. There's the Roach one. Yep. Harstem making it look good. I mean, he does want a third. But not as much as he wants to pretend like he wants a third. If that makes sense. Okay, so he wants Reynor to think he's going for a Stargate in the third. He wants him to think anything but there's a bunch of Adepts about to come out. We'll see. Reynor has not built any spores. He's got the Overlords out, and the Adepts have been spotted. Okay, that's enough info there. Another wave. Well, no longer is he trying to figure out what this is. He knows. Roaches on the way. Adept shading across. We'll actually manage to intercept, potentially, the Zerglings. Harstem, every second counts. Trying to bring all these Adepts together. The Roaches will be popping out as the Adepts shade in. But, as always, it's about the positioning. Adepts complete the shade. Up towards the main base. May actually just kill a Roach. Softening up the Zerglings. Reynor has 40 drones here. That's a number to keep in mind. Ooh, shade to the natural. Gets caught a little. Not an ideal shade. And he's going to be whittled down. A few more adepts into the third. Not perfect there. And now, more getting caught. It really... The range of damage that adept all-ins or adept timings do is so wide. Which is part of why I think Protoss have, for the most part, abandoned them. As, while it didn't hit particularly late, it was scouted maybe 10, 15 seconds earlier than it was a couple games ago. And this time around, he gets a grand total of 2 drones. 26 lings, but Reynor is barely slowed down at all. He's already got the lair on the way. Harstem, still plenty of economy behind. It's not an immediate counterattack. Instead, Reynor is going to be building up his tech overall. But I think Harstem has to be worrying now. Did I do enough? And I think from our perspective, the answer is... Still threatening. The Spire, an obvious, yet potentially effective choice. Another reason the Glaive Adepts have been mostly abandoned is because of this. If you survive and get a Spire, you no longer have the ability. You no longer have built-in anti-air. You don't have a Stargate. You don't have constant scouting. So it's on Harstem to get damage done right here and right now. Because his anti-air is 1 Stalker and 5 sentries. Which might counter an Overlord, but not much more than that. It's going to struggle with the Overlord, surprisingly. Now here come the Immortals, just bashing his way forward. Spire's only halfway done. Adepts get behind the lines. What are they? Oh, I think he was just dodging the Adepts with them. Warping, gonna get through here. Not sure who this helps out more. I mean, the choke point will make things very difficult. Sending out a shade. Force field's good. Corrosive Vials can knock him down, open up more opportunities, but there's a lot of energy on the sentries. Might try to catch him on the low ground. Adepts into the main. I don't think he spotted the Spire, but Reynor doesn't really have gas for mutas anyways. He's just trying to fight this heads up. An Immortal Sentry Adept build. A twist on the parting build of old. Harstem moving forward. Still a very dangerous army on the ground. He's killed 14 drones as well. He's still doing damage in the main. Reynor's not mining. He's found the drone. +1 melee is done. But Harstem's still moving up. Keeping the aggression on. The Immortals will split. Not taking any of the damage there. And Harstem moving forward. 21 drones thus far. The economic damage is devastating. And Reynor is starting to crumble. The Adepts are tanking enough for the Immortals, which are racking up so much damage, if not the kills themselves. The Adepts are chewing through. And the constant shade buys. Was the Spire too much of a reach? Well, Harstem starting to get overrun here. And that War Prism needs to live so he can save the Immortals with it. Reynor is at 48 drones. He still can't quite come down the ramp. He does have roach speed. There's Blink behind. I'm pretty sure the Spire was spotted. Harstem does not have better. I don't even know if he registered it, but the best defense against mutas is a good offense. He's trying to make sure that stays true. Gets a couple more. The Ravagers. Adepts over to the side. It's such a close game, right? Like, this is still could go either way. Because Reynor has an army that, once again, if Harstem makes a single misstep, his army gets crushed. But Reynor has the threat of mutas as well. But a mediocre economy. He's had to rebuild so many drones. 38. Well, now the Adepts have done the damage. 46 of them have died. But Harstem has kept all his Immortals alive. The Prism headed north. At least one muta might be worth it to help chase down this Prism. Hallucinated Phoenix. Stargate's on the way as Harstem becomes more and more convinced, but the Adepts do pop out. Gonna get some more drone kills, maybe just a couple. Now, 4 more drones. Everything counts here. Phoenix is on the way. So Harstem, 9 mutas now. But Reynor, 9 mutas. Harstem with Phoenixes in production, though. By the time the mutas are popping out, it's going to be a lot of mutas. 11 of them so far. The Warp Prism coming in. Adept shading over to the right flank. Watches the mutas pop out. Gonna double down his confidence in building those Phoenixes. Yeah, Corona boosting out the Stargates. Going to recall the Warp Prism as a muta goes to try to kill it. Adept will scout the rest. And Reynor gonna try to lay on the aggression. What a series, by the way. Either way, I have no idea which direction we go from here. How this ends. But Harstem playing an incredible match after a rough start. Disruptor. Reynor still, though, threatening dramatically. 4 Phoenixes is enough to drive back those mutas. But you still have to be a little careful with them. Corrosive Bile. Micro's back. Force Field. Just to let him know he's paying attention. The Phoenixes pick off a muta. Juggles one back. A bit dicey there. But the numbers are shifting in favor of Harstem. There's the infestation pit. Reynor not going to be locked in. He survived all of this. And now he's got a hive on the way. 78 drones. His creep spread has suffered for it. He doesn't have particularly much on the map at all. And picking off some of this. Just drops it right back down. Juggling the Ravagers through the Corrosive Bile there. Oh, I actually get some Phoenix there. Banelings. Rolling in. Mutas to the north. Disruptor maybe a little far forward. Scouting Ruptor. Now we have a fleet beacon and a hive as that last tier of tech is being unlocked. Oh, another volley. Not even sure what he was firing at. I'm not sure if that hits the Phoenix or if he's just shooting at his own Ravagers. There's something pretty hardcore about this, though. Ravagers jiggling around, barely fitted the Graviton beam thing. Meanwhile, the muta's coming in, gonna kill some more. Harstem still on him to defend multiple fronts. Banelings trickling through the defenses. Mutas on the back line. Reynor working on the Nexus here. Taking out the shield better. Nexus goes down. The probe stuck in front. Disruptor shot somehow finds nothing. More Banelings rolling in, but the battery overcharge is triggered just before everything else. Oh, Harstem losing a lot of probes, but the mutas are getting cleaned up. The ground army is driven back. And now Harstem, he has the army supply lead by a significant margin. And Reynor is still stuck on lair tech units. Does he have any Vipers on the field? He does not. He lost all the mutas. The Phoenixes flying across the map. Will catch some of the Ravagers. Going to be forced to put him down. Oh my god, he picks him up. And the Biles knock him down. What a play. Alley-oops it with his own units. And now Reynor, he doesn't have the army supply. Oh, keep picking up. They're immortals. Some of them from earlier. A couple joining them. Another base taken out, and Harstem rebuilding his 4th. Still needs to be careful that he doesn't get overrun by the sheer number of Banelings. 44 Banelings on the field. Missile attacks, level 1. Wow, surprisingly late. The Queens. No, the Phoenix is not bothering. Reynor re-expands. Templar Archives on the way. The Phoenix is going to have free reign yet again. Picks it up. Oh, takes some damage there, but the corrosive bows are used. Harstem, this is also keeping track of where most of the army is. Viper in production. Here comes so many Banelings. He's just going to roll in. Harstem moving to intercept. The Banelings crashing through the Stalkers. Going to lose a lot of probes. Maybe the Nexus as well, why not? And another base. Reynor takes out both outlying bases and forces Harstem into kind of... He's got to go. Harstem abandoned both sides. There's an Archon at the door. That should keep it for now. Gonna chase down. Now one last counterattack. The entire series on the line. The defense and the attack are everything. Is there a warp prism? There is not. The reinforcements aren't coming. There's nothing left here. What can he do? Maybe a blinding cloud is huge. It forces everything forward. The Zergling counterattack. The Stalkers are crumbling. The Phoenix is still trying to help, but wait, there's more Banelings and Ravagers and Phoenixes and Harstem. No! It's a disaster. Harstem gets both arms cut off, and he has to go right down the center. But there's no finesse in it. Reynor turns around with the Banelings and sandwiches him in that final fight. But what an epic series between these two. Harstem holding his own, but Reynor playing that kind of YOLO Zerg style that he's known for. But so close at the end of the day. Reynor takes it 3-2. But I hope you enjoyed. I hope it made your day a little bit better. If you got the means and motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon. But I hear liking and subscribing, at least for now, is still free. And checking out autoplay recommended. Make sure they're on the right videos. That actually helps out a lot. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.